So we'll own some shares just like we own that lot, and we sell options to other people who are what we call the gamblers.
What's the number one secret to creating rental income? I'm going to put those in quotations with the stock market.
Well, if you're involved in the stock market, and I grew up in a stock market family, but I also grew up in a very big real estate family. So I've done 1031 exchanges. I've watched my dad develop apartments, rehab apartments, do the whole, cash out, refinance, and then flip it and then hold it for income. The same thing that most of the listeners or a lot of the listeners of your audience are doing. And I just realized that I'm not a great real estate guy. For some reason, my timing is off or whatever, but I'm willing to say, you know what? I'm not that great at real estate. I love it. I think it should be part of everybody's portfolio because of the obvious benefits you get. And one of the reasons I love being on your show is that it's, I hate paying taxes, right? And, there's, like my accountant says, there's worse things in life than paying taxes. But if you don't have to do it, if you can figure out ways around it, and I know you do, you have some strategies around it, then by God, you sure shouldn't have to pay them. And, I know you're a Robert Kiyosaki fan, and, he has a quote that you'll never pay any more to anyone in life than you'll pay to the tax person, right? The tax man. And so we've got to figure out legal ways to avoid it, not to circumvent it and do anything illegal, but to avoid it. And so what I do is, since I'm not such a great real estate guy, but I'm a bit more of a stock market guy, I just understand businesses and I understand trends in the market, is I take assets and I build income from those assets. So we take income from an asset. So if you have a 100 units of apartments or an asset, and they create monthly income for you if you know how to do it. And that's what we teach people how to do, is we sell options against them, which is the safe part of options. Buying options is the risky side of it. 80% of those generally expire worthless. But if you're the seller of options, you're creating income. You're getting income on that. You're giving somebody else the ability to buy your share at a predetermined price before a predetermined time. So let me give you an example of how that works. So let's say you look out your window, and across the street, your neighbor, his name is Jim, and he's got a city block there for sale, and he's got it for sale for, let's say, $100,000. And Jim wants to, he's got the sign up there. He wants $100,000 for his property. And a woman named Kathy, knows, she happens to hear that Hilton is going to build the big resort right next to his property. So she knows that his property, or she thinks his property, is going to go from being worth $100,000 to being worth $1 million, let's say. But she doesn't have the $100,000 to buy it. So she approaches Jim and she says, hey, Jim, listen, I'll give you $10,000 if you'll tie up your property. Don't sell it to anybody else from me for 6 months. And anytime in that 6 months, I have the ability to buy it for $100,000. And, and so a couple of things can happen. Jim says, first of all, wait a minute, you're going to give me $10,000 just to take the property off the market, but you'll buy it for the price I'm asking right now anyway? Sounds like a good deal to me. I get to keep the $10,000 no matter what, right? She says, yeah. They sign the deal, they shake their hands, and now she's got the option on that property. Well, she took a big risk, didn't she? Because two things can happen. Number one, that option could expire worthless, in which case Hilton never came and built that property next door, and Kathy, loses her entire $10,000. So that's where most options players are. They're buyers. Or the other thing could happen is they do decide to build the building, and now she takes that $100,000, that $10,000 investment, and turns it into $1 million. High risk, high reward on the buy side. In Jim's case, he's the seller. He makes the $10,000 no matter what. And if he sells it for $100,000, he got his price. We do the same thing in the stock market. We do it on Amazon. We do it on Facebook, Google. Tesla is the big one right now that my customers are doing. So we'll own some shares just like we own that lot, and we sell options to other people who are what we call the gamblers, and we're the house. We get to collect the money. We don't make a huge amount of money, Brett. We just make a bit, and we shoot for about 2 to 4% a month is what our goal is. And if we do this right, and you follow the rules of the system, you can create a lot of income from the stock market, and it's pretty darn passive. No toilets or trash, like you like to say, right?
Got it. Yep, absolutely. I appreciate all that. And so, you knew what your strengths were, which was not being great maybe at operating real estate, but you understood the fundamentals of it, and you like the investment tax advantages of it, sure. And you love the investment of real estate. But you also figured out a way to become really good at buying options, selling options, or vice versa, knowing the differences between the two and how to exercise that. Is that a fair summary so far?
Yeah, so far it's great.